All right, we are recording.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Artie, thank you. Hello, friends. Oh, there's an iPhone. How do we know who
They can't unmute themselves either way.
we can, ask them
iPhone, can you please identify yourself?
Hello, good evening. It's Camelia Tepelus. I will rename myself so that you have me.
Oh, okay.
Camelia, good. Okay, so we have Chris Calhoun and Belinda. Belinda, you may remember me from years ago when I was chair of the Parks Committee. I think you and I did a couple of things together. We tried to do some good things for Van Cortlandt. And Camelia, very good. Now, I guess I'm kind of sorry to report, we do not have a quorum. It is Lee Chong, my vice chair, and myself are the only two people here, okay? We are a committee of 5, and we're the only two who are here. Therefore, we are not able to vote on anything. So let me go through the agenda nonetheless. First of all, Happy New Year to all. The roll call is easy. I don't even have to waste time on that. 2 of us are here. We do not have a quorum. The December minutes were distributed. We're not able to vote on them, but they've been distributed, and there you go. Chair's report, I can be brief on that. Since the last month, I spent half of it in London. So my report is, in essence, we wanted Department of City Planning to be here tonight. They have good units that deal with census information and all sorts of good information that we wanted to know in the Housing Committee to help us understand how many units we have, what apartments, single-family homes, rent stabilized, what is the income of our people, what's the ethnicity. We wanted to know all sorts of information to get a full picture on Community District 8. So we asked them to come. They were not able to come, but did send a bunch of, what should we say? Data to us. While I was away, Lee asked Artie to kind of pull some of it together and put it together in sheets for us. We certainly, if we want to discuss it, we'll discuss it under old business or something, if you don't mind. I just want to report that City Planning is not here. We did receive these documents from them, and we'll discuss it under old business more fully. Next month, we are going to have Ted Weinstein and a team of HPD people to come and address us in a whole host of issues dealing with housing, affordable housing, et cetera. I think it will be a very interesting presentation. I know Lee has been asking for some time when she was chair of housing, and we continued asking to get HPD, and particularly Ted Weinstein and his good group at HPD, to come and address us on these important issues. They will be here next month. That will be February 26th. Those who are really interested in these issues, I would urge you to just make a note on your calendar, because February 26th, 7 p.m., I think we'll all be in for a treat and a lot of good information from them.
And Rosemary,
Yes.
there'll also be an opportunity to ask them questions.
Exactly. I didn't want to say that with a lot of glee, but yes, and we'd be able to ask them questions. Just in my report, I always read the newspaper articles, and there were some articles about Governor Hochul and the New York State Legislature beginning to do another attempt at renewing 421A. There were no specifics in the article, but having said that, just to think that the New York State Legislature and the governor this season are attempting to address that issue is important. Anyone who is following this, please follow it and keep us all abreast on what we hear about those efforts, because it is really key. 421A is one of the keys to building housing.
Well, Rosemary, the developers who build quote-unquote affordable housing,
Yep.
the reason why they're not building it is there is no tax incentive.
That's right.
Because 421A expired and there was no replacement. Whether that is true is another story.
But
But that's
Lee,
the public statement that the developers have said.
and it's been out, how long has it not been in existence now? Quite some time. It's a year and a half.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's been in existence for
For
a while.
long time.
And we could ask, Ted when he comes, how many affordable, operative word, affordable housing units were built under 421A
Correct.
when it did exist? And is it permanent affordable housing, or is it finite, like 10, 15, 20 years, which is what most of these affordable, housing units are?
They're limited in time, that's right,
Even
yeah.
like Mr. Lama.
So, again, if people hear of 421A and any attempts, it's something that we certainly are very interested in to follow.
Right.
But you're absolutely right, there are a lot of questions around its value, how many units were produced under it in the years. So, Lee, you are correct. The last thing I just want to say is City of Yes Housing it will be coming up at some point in time. Artie next to me has already been given the task of finding out from city planning, where is the environmental assessment statement? Where does it stand for City of Yes Housing? Do remember, way at the beginning, city planning came and made a presentation to the Land Use Committee. And in making the presentation, they said the following: we do not have a zoning text to give you because it doesn't exist yet. This is a concept. Number two, we are starting an environmental assessment process to study it before it comes to you formally. They started that. Where does it stand now? Are they near conclusion on the environmental assessment statement? At that point, there will be a zoning text, which we haven't had up to this point, a zoning text that will tell us the specifics of City of Yes Housing. We have not had that. We're going to have it. The second the environmental assessment statement is certified, that will start the ULURP clock. That's why it's important to know where it stands. And to hear from city planning, oh, it's a week away, it's a month away, it's 2 days away. That will give us a concept of when we really will be under the clock, because ULURP gives us 60 days from certification. And certification starts with the environmental assessment statement being completed. So I put that in my report as something, we've got to pay attention to the dates. And as much as we can get from city planning, where are they on this issue, it will help us to plan ahead for our meetings, et cetera, et cetera. So, Artie has his task. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. So I turn to old business is to update our housing resource guide. Just to report to people in the audience, and just for the minutes, for the record, we divided up this guide into sections. There's about 7 or 8 pages, a member of the committee, to update, to do the research and update. I have done mine, Lee has done hers.
Nah, not all of it.
Okay, I have completed mine. Lee has almost completed hers, and we do not know where the others stand. It's no sense saying I'm disappointed, because we were trying to go on a calendar to get this done, accomplished, and printed in this community board year. So I just say this: we're not able to report on the status of upgrading the housing guide at this point. Under new business, we are starting our capital and expense budget discussions. Toward that end, I researched, let's see, the last 20 years of capital and expense budget requests from the Housing Committee, just as kind of a start for us to begin thinking about what we should be looking at for budget issues. That is complete. Everybody has that research. I think Lee and I had a very brief conversation, and I think it's worth saying it anyway. One of the things we're gonna look to for budget requests is not simply picking something off a sheet and saying that looks good. We want to put forward budget proposals that have a rationale to them, that there's the evidence that they are needed. There's evidence this capital project is needed. It's evidence that this expense budget item is needed. And we started talking about that and came up with two right away that I think are eminently justifiable. And it's Department of Building inspectors. And one of the keys to that are the basement apartments, which we hear a lot about in City of Yes Housing. We know they're being done illegally, and about a year ago, there was a storm, and 11 or 12 people died in those units. They drowned in those units. So, and I assume they're the illegal ones. I think when the committee gets together, I think that's one of the things that we would like to see upgraded, that there be more inspectors, because the evidence shows it's necessary. I'll add to that, the building in the Bronx where the whole corner of it failed, you remember that's quite recent. These are things building inspectors need to be looking at. So I think it would be easy for us to justify an expense budget request for more inspectors in the buildings department.
Right, and at HPD.
And at HPD, you wanna explain the HPD one,
Well, it's similar, they
Okay.
kind of work in tandem, but, you call 311, and if it's like a heating issue, HPD would probably be the entity that comes. And, the other thing is that, if anyone on Zoom has any ideas in terms of what they would like to see in both the capital or the expense budget for the coming, budget period, they should email board, I guess?
Mhm.
Artie,
Yes.
directly to
Yeah.
you, Artie?
Mhm.
To Artie.
Yes, thank you. Once again, these were just ideas that, Lee and I were just, talking. There's a lot more work that needs to be done and should be done, and we need the other committee members here to do that. One thought, Artie, there was, a meeting, the buildings department came to the community board and invited members of the community to come and speak to them,
Yeah.
right? I I'm trying to was it David Gelman, who asked the question in exec, what were the issues that were raised to the buildings department? That could be, and I think it was gonna be researched so that David would get the answers. I think the housing committee would like to see those answers too.
Okay.
Out of the issues that community members brought to the buildings department, we may see in it an opportunity to do a budget request. So that would be helpful for us,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Okay, good, what do you think, move on?
Move along.
I love working with Lee, she's the best. Inspections, that's it. I did it all. Oh, and unless you would like to talk about your thoughts on, I said I was gonna put in old business, the information that city planning sent to us, and you looked at, Lee, I haven't had a chance to look at it. Is there anything that sticks out with you that you would like to
Well,
report?
City planning sent a lot of material.
Mm-hmm.
And, It has population information, it has demographics, it has housing stock, it has income, it has even what people do, it has their education. And I went through it, and I just highlighted the ones that I thought would be relevant for the housing committee. And the first thing is that majority population in District 8 is Hispanic. 49% of people that live in Community Board 8 are of Hispanic origin. That was one thing that stood out. The other thing is that we are a rental occupied board, not a home ownership. 66% of the units are renter occupied housing units. Means that there are few, you know, and the total of all the occupied housing units, both owner occupied and rental, is 42,569.
Units.
Units, yes. And the other thing is, majority of units occupied are by low-income renters. 47.9% of the units of the tenants are low income, and that number is 13,866.
How do they define low income?
They define it by 51 to 80% of AMI, area median income, and that changes every year. It's a number that's determined by HUD, which is actually weird because the AMI for New York City includes Long Island and Westchester. And we know that in Westchester, the income is much higher. So 51 to 80% of AMI, and I don't know what the AMI for this current year is. It usually changes. I think HUD comes out in April. I'm not 100% sure anymore. But in any case, that's the majority of people are low income. And
So they're doing it by AMI. Many times you see, people who must spend more than 30% of their income on rent is sometimes that's the definition of low income. Rent burdened, okay.
And I think they have that information in here if I could find it.
So again, not that I'm apologizing to people on Zoom, but we really just got this information. We're just starting to go through it. We thank Lee for taking a first look at it and highlighting some of the
interesting information is AMI is a federal guideline number. There's nowhere, anywhere that says if you want to build affordable housing in your district and there is no federal money involved, you do not have to go by the AMI. You go by the local AMI, which that was one thing that I found that was missing here. They didn't have the area median income of the area.
So what is the AMI they have then?
The federal.
The federal AMI, oh, got it, okay.
So, you could use the income for Community Board A if you want to do affordable housing. I think, I may be missing any numbers here, and, it says here, extremely low income, which is 0 to 30% of AMI. There are 3,124 people who fall into that category. Now, I don't know what the actual dollar and cents of 30% of AMI is, but if you didn't have federal money in it and you were building affordable housing and you wanted to build affordable housing for quote-unquote low income, you could use that number. There was no federal dollars. Only city and state and private, like banks and stuff like that. Anyway, that's just a broad brush of of this
No, so,
tremendous document.
this is very useful information. I just in paging through, myself, where did I see it? It was, because we wanted this, in our first meeting, we talked about, the committee talked about, we don't have a full understanding of Community Board 8.
Correct.
And what is the housing, single-family home, rental, highway, with co-ops, what is, and that is why we wanted this information, to begin to understand, what the housing issues are in this community. So, where did I just see it? Where is it? So, it has, 51.4% of the units in Community Board 8 are rent stabilized.
Oh, yes.
That tells you something. I mean, that's the bulk of serious housing in our district. That says something, it really does, right? It's, okay. Again,
Oh, here it is. 50% or more severely rent burdened.
there it is,
In-
okay.
In 2021, 31.4%, which comes out to 8,983 households severely rent burdened. Means they paid 50% or more of their income for housing.
On rent, yeah.
Yeah. And that's not including, 30% or more who are rent burdened. And that's 56.5%, which is 16,154 households.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about 25,000 households are rent burdened in our district.
Mm-hmm.
And we haven't dealt with them at all.
Well, you start by knowing that they're there and exist, which is, I'm so glad we talked about this at our first meeting and got this useful data, so we can begin to understand our district.
And what we need to do is introduce to the community technical assistance. There are nonprofit organizations. You and I talked about legal services.
Mm-hmm.
There are also nonprofit advocacy organizations, Northwest Bronx and its
Mhm.
subsidiaries, and there's even though it's called Northern Manhattan Improvement Corporation, they have an entity,
Mm-hmm.
an office in the Bronx. I don't know where in the Bronx, but I can find out from Maria
Mhm.
Luzardo. But we should invite them, and maybe we should even have like a housing forum where we get information about what their rights are as renters,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of renters don't know what their rights are.
We talked about a forum early on. I would be happy if we do and complete the things that we set out already.
I know.
If we can't get people to show up for a meeting and do the work that they were given to do, why are we putting more work on me and you, okay? I'm sorry, did I sound angry? I am, okay.
Julie can be angry.
Okay, thank you, I'm so glad we asked for this, I'm so glad we got it, and Artie, yes, and thank you for doing a first cut at taking a look and highlighting some of the pieces, thank you.
You're welcome.
So that is the end of my agenda. I'm gonna turn to the screen. There are people, up here, who may wanna say something to us. If you, what would we say, raise your hand? Just raise your hand and Artie will let you in. If there's anything you would like to ask us or talk about, please do. We'll give you a minute to think about it.
First count, no.
Chris, go ahead. Hi, Chris, how are you this evening?
Unmute him.
Unmute him.
Yep,
Yep,
I
okay,
asked
thank
him
you.
to go to
You have to unmute there you go.
Thank you for having me tonight. What I wanted to say was, as a few of you know, I've done many tabling events for CB8, and I have to tell you, I'm quite excited to hear that you're updating the housing manual. because besides the unlimited amount of pens and canvas bags that CB8 has, that manual is the first to get cleaned off the table. And
Mhm.
I think it's great because of the amount of multiple dwellings we have within CB8, which covers a multitude of neighborhoods. I think it's long overdue, and I just applaud this committee for bringing it up to snuff. That's all I have to say. And again, thanks for having me tonight.
Thank you. No, it's, we like praise, don't we, Lee?
Yes.
We deserve it. Okay, no, thank you. It's something, on day one, it's something this committee want to do, and we're gonna do it. We are gonna do it. I find it's useful in elected officials' offices, put it in the libraries, do it the tabling events, as you say. I think it's a very useful tool, and it advertises that Community Board 8 has a housing committee and deals with these issues. It's also an advertisement for us, so it has a lot of good purposes. So thank you for recognizing it, and, okay, anyone else? Mary Ellen? Mary Ellen?
Hey, Rosemary.
Hey,
Can you hear me?
Mary Ellen, how are you?
All right. Thank you for bringing up the fact that that people are spending so much percentage of their paycheck towards their rent. Because even with my rent is frozen with Scree, which is not I brought up in aging. A lot of people don't know about Scree, and when I tell them, they're shocked. I mean, I pay 75% of my rent of my paycheck towards rent with my rent frozen. So maybe we can get together as aging and housing and try to figure something out, to maybe, get the level of the I always say to bring up the level of the money, because they say a certain percentage, you can only make so much to freeze it for Scree. They need to raise that ceiling, because when people are coming up to 62 years of age, they the rents have gone up so much by the time they get to that. I mean, you can't even afford to live in your apartment anymore. So by the time you freeze it, you can't afford it anyway. So they need to probably raise it. I would say if we get together and make some kind of resolution together to raise the ceiling of how much you can earn to have Scree.
Well, there's Scree and there's also She. It's homeowner exemption.
Did you hear Lee?
No.
She's the expert on this stuff. Good.
And the Department of Finance adjudicates it, but I think they're not necessarily the determinant. I think it's HPD.
Yeah, but they need.
That's the limit?
Yeah, so when, it comes, we can bring it up, but I know you send all your documents to DOF.
Yeah, I know it's Department of.
Okay.
I know it is Department of Finance, but it's like crazy the amount that they put that you can make to freeze your rent, because realistically, like, take for instance, if your rent is $1,700 a month by the time you hit 72, try making $50,000 to pay that. It's crazy. These seniors are going to be put out of their apartments. It's nuts.
Okay, so maybe, next meeting, Mary Ellen, maybe you'll be here and we can
Sure.
address that topic with Ted, okay?
Sure. Very good. Thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. Thank you. Now I see Julie and then Camelia and then Belinda. Oh, good. Now people are good. Julie,
Yep, she's unmuted.
Hi,
Go ahead, Julie.
Hi, I just want to echo in on what Chris and Mary Ellen said. In regards to the Scree, if you guys do a meeting on it, we had one with the community board many years ago. And surprisingly, it was standing room only. So if you do a meeting, that would be great. Just make sure the venue is good. Hopefully we'll get a nice turnout like we did. And this is quite a few years ago, but it was standing room only in this place. And to echo what Chris says, definitely, we all thank you for all the good work that you guys are doing in updating that guide. Thank you.
Hey, no, thank you for saying that. Thank you, Julie. Thank you. Camelia and then Belinda. Okay, Camelia.
Oh, yeah. Thank you, Rosemary. Just a technicality, because I think truly the monumental work that you commit to do, Rosemary, with the committee, with me, with Miss Lee. It's really what will give, how to say, like a deliverable, right? Like we need to see something at the end of the day. And it's wonderful that you committed to engage in this effort. Just following what Chris said and the numbers that Miss Lee quoted, if at all possible, to have this, once you have a nice draft of this guide, to have it also translated in Spanish. Miss Lee said it
Yes.
clearly, 49% of the residents, are Hispanic
Yes.
speaking, and the majority of those burden tenants are also part of this population. So just to put it early there on the agenda, if any of the budget, gets a little bit left over at the end of the fiscal year, this translation in Spanish will really make a big difference for many people. Just wanted to add that.
Okay, Camelia, your idea and your concept is something, it's extremely important to us. We absolutely want to do it. Just so, before you became a member of the community board, and I wish you were still here, but we did a senior guide and a housing guide. We translated both of them into Spanish. We printed in English, translated into Spanish, and then printed in Spanish. We did all three. And now, just when it comes to our budget, we're going to start with the English version, see how the budget, if there's room in the budget. I am sure that the officers and the executive committee would urge us to look at the budget and see if we could do the translation, which costs money, and then print it in Spanish. Absolutely, it's on budget, as long as the budget allows it, and I hope it will. I don't want to, it's the intention to go forward in that manner. Yes, Celia, you're absolutely right. It should be done. Yes, okay. And Belinda Hancock.
Yes, hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes.
Yes, and getting back to SCREE, a lot of people are unaware of it. It's entails a lot of paperwork and documents, but I think the more people find and know about it, it's better. And it doesn't necessarily have to limit you to, even if your household is like, if one of you is a senior and the other one isn't, you still can apply for it. So it's not strictly for seniors and seniors only, but it's for the entire household in general. As far as if one person who is applying is a senior, then it's worth doing all the paperwork, but you have to supply, all the paperwork and documents for both the occupants in the apartment building.
And in addition, Belinda, to the SCREE and the sheet is also DREE. We're going through the alphabet, and that's for people with disabilities, and that's not, there's no age gap on that.
Okay, that
There are
part
three
about disability, I
separate.
wasn't aware. I just was aware of the age factor.
Okay, thank you, and I think the chair of our board's it's special interest in telling us, years ago, we had a meeting or a public meeting on SCREE, and that it was extremely well attended, says maybe it is time to do another one when the thaw comes in the spring. Okay. Maybe we could do it with the aging committee, get some more workers working on it.
And we can also have the forms available, because that's what I did. And my building, I actually went to the Department of Finance and got a whole bunch of copies, and I had a building meeting, and we gave it out to people who were income eligible, or who thought they were.
Well, there's clearly is an interest in this topic. Thank all of you for saying it, and we'll begin to work on it. As I say, maybe we can do it jointly with the aging committee, so there are more bodies that are helping out in it, right? Maybe. We'll see. We'll have that discussion with Oscar. Okay.
Mary Ellen has her hand raised.
Okay, Mary Ellen, and go ahead, Mary Ellen.
Belinda had brought up about other people can live in the house, but if other people live in the household for SCREE, they count towards that $50,000.
Okay.
So that'd be like, say for
Yeah.
instance, there's two
Mhm.
people and there's $50,000. That makes it even more difficult.
Understood. Okay.
I just want to, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. And anyone else? Anyone else
Oh, and I'm the
wanna?
vice chair, so I'd love to do a combination meeting.
Very good. We'll have that discussion for sure. I like everybody, taking a laboring oar on such an event, so that would be grand. Anyone else? I don't wanna miss anybody. Okay. Then with that, can we, we can't vote. We can't vote.
We're leaving you guys.
We can't vote. We're gonna end the meeting at this time. Thank you all for coming. Thank you so much. And Happy New Year again to all of you. May we have a good year in everything we're trying to do. Be well, all of you. Bye.